We've finally seen all 6 Academy Award nominees for Best Animated Feature, because it's frankly the first year in some time when I felt strongly about more than one of the films. And I can tell you without hesitation that Flow must win the award this year, and I can tell you why. Now, obviously, the winner has already been decided. It's in an envelope, in a vault somewhere, and nothing anyone says on YouTube can change what's already printed on that card. And I can't tell you that Flow will win, only that it should win. So here it goes. Flow by Latvian animation genius Gints Zilbalodis is an innovative film which tells its story of a cat, a capybara, a bird, a monkey, and a dog, all scrambling to survive together on a boat after an epic flood, plumbs the depths of our emotions and spirits, making the viewer feel, at times, wonder, fear, hope, and despair in equal measures, and does it all without a single word of dialogue. It's a masterpiece of visual language, and we recognize ourselves and people that we know in these characters, and more so, in their dilemmas, real ethical dilemmas that we all struggle with in real life, as people or as nations sometimes, and sometimes basic differences in our traditions to uncover the raw truth inside every individual. It's a rare existential gem that speaks to the 5-year-old as much as to the 50-year-old or the 100-year-old, and is as timeless a film as has ever been made. Now hold that thought and let's look at the other films. Moana 2. The characters are mostly new here, but they're rough drafts of characters at best, with only on-the-nose traits and zero personal stakes in the journey at hand. Sometimes I was wondering why Moana was on the journey at hand. And it's ironic that both it and Flow are plot-wise about characters stuck on a boat together, yet the always jabbering humans in Moana 2 portray human needs or the human spirit so much less than the animal characters in Flow do, and in absolute silence. The Moana sequel is an obvious movie by committee, more focused on making sure it's meme-worthy enough for TikTok or YouTube Shorts than in making the viewer connect with anything else about it. Boat snack! And I know this because my daughter, who's the target audience, had already heard all the memes online before we watched the movie together and shouted them out as they came up on screen. Can I get a chee-hoo? But otherwise, she paid more attention to her iPad than to the movie up on the TV. And it literally hurts to say all this about the follow-up to a movie, Moana, that was a breakthrough for heroic girl characters and a movie that connected with everyone, myself included. But Moana 2, it's a cash grab. And if it wins any award from anywhere at any time, all I can say is somebody got paid. All right, now Inside Out 2, another sequel, could have gone that same route, but only did so occasionally. And it took its premise to new areas of Riley's life, to different themes on how people grow and experience life. At least this sequel had a story, driven by the necessity of Riley to continue to grow up, unable to escape the stakes and the urgency of discovering who she is and wants to be in the world. So we get something at least to hold on to as viewers of all ages. But its premise isn't new anymore, and without the clever gimmick of emotions being real characters, having any freshness left to it, we get more or less an episode of a TV teen drama. But it's not bad. My daughter paid at least passing attention to it as we watched, but it's just not something to pin a medal on. It's an average learn to love yourself story with familiar trappings and executed well enough. It's not very new, though, and it's not ambitious. Let's go to Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul. I thought the early Aardman animations were cute enough in their day, but I turned this off midway through. Actually, no, I didn't. I kind of 10-second skipped my way through the last half of it, just enough to see that it's really just a claymation rehash of the sideshow Bob prison plot from The Simpsons. As near as I can tell, though, it's just something innocuously watchable for Grandma to put on when the grandkids are over, and while that's increasingly rare in the world, it's not reward-worthy, not by a long shot. Now we go to another claymation, Memoir of a Snail. This somewhat darker film than expected, I watched all the way through. It's definitely worth a look. It's not for kids on any level whatsoever. It's a grown-up movie. And I'm not sure who exactly, but it's rife with sexual situations and imagery and occasional light violence and very extreme situations sometimes. It tells the story of twins separated while still young, one suffering a physical disability, which has a lifelong impact on her self-image, which gets worse and worse until only her own basic goodness in the end comes back and saves her. I wish almost that it was made for kids. In that way, you could say My Life as a Courgette is almost made for kids because it has some really heavy stuff in it. But this movie is just don't. It's all stop motion animation, and it's a real achievement at that. It's a good movie for the right person at the right time of life, but it's quite esoteric in that way and not as ambitious, I think, as Flow is in its nuance and themes. But if you're pulling for a Memoir of a Snail to win the Oscar, I might disagree with you, but my hat's off to you. I salute you. And finally, The Wild Robot. Also a good movie. Also for just about everyone. We watched it in a big group, ages spanning almost 50 years from the youngest viewer to the eldest. And everybody in the room enjoyed it. And I'll put a link to my longer review for it up here or down there. But very briefly, I'll tell you why it's good. It's a great story. It takes chances with its storytelling. Not a lot, but some. And it has moments that just break your heart, especially if you're a parent. It's beautiful to watch, too. It takes the usual CG look and paints it in a unique way. And it's probably the favorite to win because it's just different enough, but not too different. And it's not Disney or Pixar, who people are maybe tired of grabbing the spotlight all the time. But is it the best film? The downside is it's really derivative. Everything from WALL-E to Big Hero 6 to Bambi has some DNA in this movie. And while it's from a best-selling kids book, it's really sort of a rinse and repeat of common tearjerker themes with a fresh coat of paint, literally. It's got a good look, and it's stunning for all that. But it hasn't got that awe factor that Flow has, that feeling in its direction that makes you feel at times like you're in touch with that ineffable poetry of life, if you know what I mean. Those profound moments where you feel that the universe sees us somehow and we recognize ourselves in everything around us. You can't do that sort of thing usually in animation outside or in film, outside of a movie like, say, Tree of Life or something, not without it going corny. And Flow never goes corny. And unlike a movie like Tree of Life, kids can grasp it. So for my money, it's Flow for the win. A truly singular film for all ages that can't be duplicated, can't be copied, can't be the source for derivatives. It's its own thing. And that's the type of art. If, like me, you consider movies art, and you should, that should be rewarded, don't you think? If nothing else, to inspire others to tap into their own voices and not be satisfied with the derivative and meme-worthy approach when they go in to pitch ideas for movies. All right, go with the flow, Gints Zilbalodis, the Latvian genius, and we'll see if I'm right in just a few days. The Oscars are on March 2nd. See you next time.